Hi, my name is Sheila Hill. I'm an intuitive life coach and a spiritual guide. Today we're going to talk about the many faces of the ego. Now, if you're new to my work, or perhaps you need a little bit of clarity or a deeper understanding of what the ego is, how it was created, when it was created, and what its purpose is, then I suggest you have a look at the video linked below in the description box. That will give you a really good foundation of where I'm coming from when I talk about the ego, and then you can come back in and join us in this video. So today's conversation is about the many faces of the ego. Now, it's funny because in spiritual community and through all of the teachers and conversations that you may have with others around spiritual work, evolutionary work, and healing work, we talk about the ego as though there is only one. And the truth of the matter is that there are as many faces, layers, versions of your ego as has been necessary throughout your life in order for you to survive and move through every experience that you have ever had. So, I use the word survive, and I don't mean survive necessarily from the standpoint of true trauma survival, although it can be. What I'm talking about is your lack of presence. Our purpose here in our truth and in the light of what we truly are, without the ego aspect interfering, is that we should be able to show up in every now moment of our life, in every exchange, in every experience, clear, curious, fully present, and able to move through whatever the experience is, allow it to pass through us as such, and then be ready, clear, and curious and present for the next now moment. This is what I'm talking about when I say that the ego stepped in order to help us survive. Because frankly, in order to be able to be clear and whole and present and curious in every now moment and allow every exchange and experience to move through you cleanly and get you ready to move through the next one cleanly, it takes a lot of consciousness and intention and a considerable amount of inner work to be able to do that. So it's not expected that anyone has operated from that space. But if you're not in that space of full, clean, clear, and curious presence, then you're surviving and navigating each moment. So for every experience that you've had in your life, there has been a version of your ego that has had to sort of step up and help you survive and navigate that experience in order to move on to the next and the next and the next. This means that various experiences, various relationships, and various times in your life, there have been a different version or face of the ego that has been required in order for you to be there. So, what are some of these faces of the ego? Some of them that you want to be aware of are the unworthy one, the one that operates from a place of the wounded feminine. The forceful one, the one that operates from a place of the wounded masculine. The immature one, the one that refutes responsibility. The uber responsible one, the one that is hyper independent. The arrogant one, the spiritual one, the narcissist one, the one that numbs and retracts, the victimizer, and the victim. You see, all of these ego faces are not necessarily what you would consider to be egoic. And yet each and every one of them, the one that asks you to play small, the one that asks you to play independent, the one that asks you to play spiritual, every single one of those are a different version of the false self that is protecting you from your innate power that you find in being present in every now moment. So, your job as you move forward in your life now with this new information is to become highly aware that as you navigate your life in every now moment in various experiences and exchanges, that there is going to be a version of you, a face of your ego, that is going to want to step forward. And for the first little while, just observe. Just observe who shows up when. Which version shows up when I'm at work? Which version shows up when I'm with my kids? Which version shows up with my partner? Which version with my friends? How do I behave with myself when I'm alone? Just begin to observe. And through that observational space, you're going to notice that there will be a theme or a thread or 2 or 3 common faces that show up, that you show up in a certain way that is not in your full presence. And then your work is to begin to dissolve and dismantle those versions of your ego. And one way to do that is to acknowledge it and love it back into the truth of your sacred heart. You see, there is never going to be an ego death. We don't ever want to disregard, disown, disrespect, or dishonor the ego and the job that it has done for you, because it has done a miraculous job at keeping you alive and helping you navigate your life thus far. But it is also time to dissolve and dismantle the power that these various faces of the ego have over you and that are keeping you from the power of your presence. So I'm going to read for you something that you can do to help begin to dissolve these aspects of your ego. Naturalize this quote, this verse, in any way that you want to in order to make it natural for you. But this will give you a good idea on how to begin to recognize, love, respect, and dissolve one or many of your faces of the ego. And that is by putting your hand on your heart, taking a deep cleansing breath, and saying, I see you. I know that you represent a part of me that is afraid, that feels unlovable, or is angry. I know why you are here and I love you. Let's move forward together. There is a better way. Another really great tip or a technique that you can use is to journal. This version of you, whatever version, the forceful one, the unworthy one, the immature one, the victimized or the victimizer, they need a voice. They're an aspect of you that didn't receive the love, compassion, or understanding in the moment that it was created that it needed. And that was what catalyzed its creation. So by journaling and giving that aspect of you a voice so that it gets to tell the story through its lens, and then following that up with this, I love you, I see you, I know why you're here, and I thank you for the job you've done, is another really great way to honor and dissolve and take your power back from these aspects. So I hope that this helps you to first understand a little bit more about what the ego is, because there isn't actually one. There are many faces. Where these faces of the ego came from, what you can watch for, and then how you can move through the process of slowly beginning to dissolve them. Until next time, bye for now.